Welcome, everyone, to. I messed that up somehow. I don't know exactly how I messed that up, but I did. Anyway, welcome to episode 74 of The Sigma Show. I'm your host, Sigma. Before I let you know who is joining me for today's show, real quick, we'll go over what our topics are going to be. Lots of movie and TV stuff for the most part, because San Diego Comic-Con is going on right now. But first up, we have a new Dungeons & Dragons movie, Honor Among Thieves, the subtitle, coming up soon. We'll talk about what that looks like, and the fact that there was already a Dungeons & Dragons movie, which was news to me. That happened already.
Oh, there's
apparently.
three.
There's three. Okay, so we'll get into all of that.
None of them did very well. That's why you don't know about it.
After that, we'll talk about specifically the Wakanda Forever trailer, because I think that's probably the biggest trailer so far that's come out of the Marvel stuff. But then after that, we'll dive into all the other granular details of the Marvel Phase 4, 5, and ultimately 6 plans that have come out of San Diego Comic-Con as well. And finally, if we have time, to be fair, there's a rather big rumor that I stumbled across that says that Microsoft could possibly have plans to acquire Netflix, or Netflix may have plans to have Microsoft acquire them, one or the other. It's a big rumor. Don't put too much stock in it. I'm more interested in the conversation about such a thing happening, and us just kind of digging into it. But to talk to me about such things today, Marty Sleva.
Hey everybody, it's me, Marty.
It's Marty.
I don't know how to do intros.
Rexicon, Jesse.
Hey, it's me. I'm not Marty.
Ooh.
I'm Jesse.
Great distinction. You guys are looking more alike.
I know.
Lately, to be honest.
I gotta.
Yeah. We're slowly just anamorphing into each other. Yeah.
And last but not least, Superman, Jeff.
I am also not Marty. I am Jeff.
Fuck. Damn. I didn't realize I was the only one here.
Are you sure you
Jeff-
also have a beard?
Yes.
That's... You have more monitors than I do, though. So that's impressive.
Yeah, we know Marty's legally only allowed one monitor.
One monitor.
After the incident.
After the event.
Yeah.
All right. Well, glad to have you guys here. As my chat told me, it's been like 3 months since we had this exact combination of folks. So I hope we can recreate whatever magic happened.
I saw in Discord the last time you had a message with us was May 1st. So there you go.
Ooh.
Oh,
Very
exactly.
exciting. Yeah.
So on that note, let's catch up. What have you guys been playing, watching, listening to? If there's any new music and stuff that's been on your playlist rotation, let's get into it. We'll try to keep it a little short because we do have a bunch of other topics. But some quick.
All right, I'll
what do you call it?
I got real short, so I'll
Banter.
say one thing. Because we've been watching more True Blood.
Ooh.
And
Oh no.
I think
He said, "Oh no."
I think I hit the point where I'm like, I might be done with this, and it dropped fast. Like,
Is it like the start of a new season, or like?
so it's actually the end. So season 4, we started, and it's like, ooh, okay, you got all these different things happening, like, okay, and it does the thing that I personally hate, where you have a cast that's growing, that used to be intricate, and now a season is like 18 different plots with 18 different people, and they barely coordinate with each other. And that's exactly how season 4 goes. And they are just making like first draft bad decisions. Like, it is amazing how poorly some of the writing is in that season. It's like we have to finish the last episode of the season, and it's like, no, this dropped so fast. This is really bad. And there's 3 more seasons after this. I might be done.
Oh, wow.
Jeez. Yeah.
That tends to happen.
I remember True Blood definitely taking like a quality hit, but it was like, okay, I'm in this deep. I kind of just want to see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do remember the ending being ultimately unsatisfying.
Oh, dang.
So honestly, it may not be worth it for you to keep going.
Yeah, that's another like 30 hours away, 30, 40 hours.
Right.
I'm doing.
But there's still stuff from, I guess, now till then that's like okay, if I remember correctly, because like I did stick around. Like, I didn't straight up be like, all right, well, I'm over this.
I'm gonna be honest. We're in a golden age. Like, I don't have time for okay.
There's so much TV.
That is true.
Yeah.
I can see that, yeah.
I gotta see how bad the new Resident Evil show is. Like,
It's bad. It's bad. It's not good.
Is it because weren't people raving about it, or was that like
Those people should go
ironic
to jail. Those,
tweets?
whoever
Yeah.
raves about it should go
Those people
to. They
should
should be
go
going
to
to jail.
It's
I saw-
very dry. Like
Yeah.
the main characters are just not, even as teenage girls, they're not very believable.
The
I saw a clip of a girl talking to a guy who was holding a dog.
yeah.
I hope this isn't a spoiler, but I have no context for this, but it made me die laughing. She's like, "Oh, you found my dog." She tries to take the dog starts going rah, rah, rah. He's like, "All right, I'm gonna need some proof." He's like, what, like a DNA test?" He's like, "No, like a picture." And then she punches him in the nose.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on in this scene?
That's what he gets for taking the dog.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. The also the weird thing is it is a canonical sequel to the games.
Oh, it
Like,
is canonical? I didn't
Yeah,
know.
Really?
they as the season goes on, they make it very clear that it is a canonical sequel to the games. That this isn't like a weird spin-off thing. The high point for me is Lance Reddick, who plays
Yes.
Albert
Yeah.
Wesker, who you
Yeah.
guys might know from Destiny and The Wire and Lost and John Wick. And he's really good.
And not Rainbow reading him,
Yeah,
Yeah, we know from the Eric Andre show.
yeah. Yeah, he's really good. But yeah, the show's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And as like a hardcore,
Okay.
even like Resident Evil fan, I don't know, it just didn't do anything for me.
Because as a hardcore Resident Evil fan, you're aware that the Resident Evil story is not good.
Oh no, it's really bad. The Resident Evil story is like
Yeah.
extremely
And so
bad.
this show leaning into that, you're saying it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work, and it's like it's set in like a split timeline. Half of it's 2022 and half of it's like 2036. Neither of them are interesting. They're like both combating each other to see like which storyline is less interesting. It's not scary. It's not scary at all. Like, which is weird. Like, you have one job, just do it spooky. You didn't do it spooky.
Okay.
No, not very spooky at all.
No.
All right. Well, Jesse, is that all you wanted to share in terms of like watching and playing?
Yeah, we got stuff to talk about, so I'll just gripe about True Blood and then leave it there.
Okay.
Yeah. I can also be really brief as well. I finished Miss Marvel.
Nice.
I told Jeff earlier that it might be like my favorite Marvel TV show so far of like all this Phase 4 stuff.
Yeah.
But after thinking about it a little bit more, that might have still just been the afterglow of like watching the end of it, because like I still like it a bunch, but I do think Loki's probably just overall top to like front to back like just a better story, like with higher stakes and whatnot. Not to say that Miss Marvel needed higher stakes, but like there were just sort of things in its plot that were kind of dumb, and I was being forgiving of because the stuff outside of the superhero story was actually very endearing, like all the family stuff,
Yeah.
and the hidden stuff.
Like overall,
Like
it was
the
a good show. Like aside
Right.
from being a Marvel show, it was just overall a very good show.
Exactly. It's just there are little nagging things about it that in terms of just plot, like getting her from beginning to end didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it definitely suffers from Marvel boring villain problem.
Yes,
Like the
yeah.
both the clandestines and damage control. I think are just like why
Yeah,
are they even
that
here?
was-
Like what if we just had a show without villains? Maybe that
Yeah.
would work.
Because they were just trying to build up damage control to something.
Yeah.
And then the clandestine, they just were very, very weak. Just like as far as
Yeah, like they
any
were
villain.
just a hodgepodge of goons.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing interesting
With
about them.
magic
whatsoever.
powers, maybe. Like
Yeah,
they
right.
kinda
Like,
had
did
powers,
you?
but yeah.
Sort of.
Um,
But yeah, so that was okay. And then I keep talking about the fact that I've been watching Kuroko's basketball. Or I can't remember what the show's called anymore.
Yeah.
Kuroko's basket.
Kuroko
Yeah.
no Basket. Yeah.
Right. It's a much lesser version of Haikyuu. I've said that multiple times. But I was gonna give it up, and then realized I didn't have anything else I felt like starting. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll just keep pushing through it. I gotta be honest. I'm in season 2.
Okay.
The end of season 2, or maybe the beginning of season 3, somewhere around there. And they've actually sort of sucked me in with some of the internal team drama. Like they told a bunch of backstory about some of the older characters,
Right.
and like kind of spelled out their motivation and like how the team got started and whatnot. And then
about
they
a
spelled out some
generation of
beef.
You talking about
No, not I'm talking about
a current
the
team?
main.
Okay.
Yeah, the current team, Seiren High.
Yeah.
They had the one character who like had an injury and then had to come back later.
That's
Like they
season
kind of
2. So you're in
that's season 2. Okay, so they detailed all of his backstory, and they basically created a bunch of stakes for the team that I had no idea were there before. Just before they fought, not fought, they played a basketball game against these other guys, and they practically almost fought because it was a very violent basketball game, and like for the first time, I kind of got the high of like, yes, the team that I'm watching achieved something. Like they kind of put it all on the line, and they did what they had to do. They executed, and they won the game despite this challenge. Like I wasn't getting that, which is like every single volleyball match in Haikyuu. Like you feel like, oh yes, my boys have grown. Like this was the first. It was the first episode where like they kind of properly fleshed out all the stakes and then made the actual game interesting moment to moment all the way through. So like, I'm glad it turned that corner because like I still don't find it funny, and I find most of the characters still pretty flat. But I'm at the very least interested in the team's journey overall. Like I want to see how that concludes. So like, I'm glad I actually did stick with it.
Nice. What's it on? What are you watching on?
I'm watching it on Netflix.
Gotcha.
It's also on Crunchyroll. Netflix has the English dub.
Oh, as anime should be watched.
The way it was meant to be.
Yeah, it's native.
Especially an anime like that with basketball and stuff going on. I feel like trying to read subtitles with that is always very hard because of so much is going on. So I do like the dub version because you can just focus on the game and just hearing the words as opposed to reading them.
Yeah,
and the dub's not bad.
In the past couple weeks, I've decided to take
terrible.
a hard-line readings for nerds stance. Like I've just decided I kind of want to become a bully in 2022. So and so that includes not only books but subtitles.
You want to?
Some people just need to be bullied.
Yeah.
You want to watch a show, not read a e-novel or whatever.
I don't want to read an e-novel.
They have I forget the name of the
Grandpa
genre.
Jesse, tell me about the e-novels.
What's that genre? Where it's like you just read it.
Like a visual novel?
Visual novel. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
I had the novel part.
For a second, e-novel, I thought you were talking about like a Kindle book.
Yeah.
I mean, you could also call it that, but it's what is it? Light books?
Light novel.
Yeah, light novel. That's the other one.
Okay,
I can't get any of these. I always have to miss one of the words in the thing I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you're like a really great categories partner. So there you go.
Thanks.
But that does it for me in terms of stuff I've been playing. Like I still can't talk about the thing I was playing because I wrote a preview for it. So we'll find out about that soonish.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jeff, Marty, anything you want to share?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I go. I've been playing a lot of Multiverses since that came out on the 19th for the preview.
Yeah, the open beta or whatever.
Yeah, the open beta.
I think it's still closed right now.
Yeah.
I think it goes open in another day or two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the 26th it goes live. But like if you were previously in the alpha, you got into the beta early, starting the 19th. So I've been playing a lot of that, and I do like the cosmetics they added. I do feel like a lot of stuff is overpriced. They definitely need to fix some of that because a lot of stuff is like overpriced as far as like.
I mean, it is purchasable with in-game money though. Like even if it's like high, it's not.
Yeah, characters are. Some stuff like certain cosmetics are only purchasable with the microtransaction
like the premium
currency. Yeah. Is that a pretty common way of doing things in free-to-play games?
I feel like usually there's an option. Apex has an option usually where some games will be some skins will only be available for that week for premium currency, and then there'll be an alternate skin for the same character that's available for in-game currency. So usually do a combination of both. But like League of Legends would do skins and stuff. They're always, you can either do either or, always either in-game or premium. They never forces you to choose either or.
It is about 30 hours of in-game grinding to get one skin, probably, though, if I remember correctly.
A lot of grinding.
Yeah.
Like I would say, like even if that sounds excessive, I would still prefer that to just not have any option, like, because if someone is dedicated enough, like that's the only game they're playing, then sure, after enough time, they can get exactly the thing they want. Maybe not everything in the store based on just playing and not spending money.
Sure. Yeah, that seems really bad to like a casual, but if it's like, your game, how stuff like Rogue Company or Siege or Smash are like, people we know's game, and you put 500 to 1,000 hours in it, then at that point you're like, well, you are probably able to unlock most of the stuff if you just keep playing it. That
Right.
kind of thing.
And I won't be mad if the skins were like, $4.99, like a Smash character or something. No, it was like one skin they wanted like $20 for.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
I was like,
That is
yeah, no.
ludicrous.
I was like, guess not. But
Yeah.
I do love the way it plays. I love the characters. So, George Lucas just said they added LeBron James. They did add him. I'm not.
Yeah,
They
just
really?
announced-
Ramon,
they just
Ramon,
announced LeBron
yeah.
James as a playable character coming.
He was like, LeBron James, Rick and Morty are coming, but also we're gonna give you LeBron James first. Rick and Morty are coming later. I'm like, I would have rathered it the other way around. Like, just give me Rick and Morty and then filter LeBron in.
Well, no, if Rick and Morty is the highlight, then of course they got to hold them out till longer, like to keep the buzz up.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, LeBron was just like, I don't know. That might appeal. That might appeal to certain age groups of, the NBA 2K players and stuff like that, who they're trying to get to play the game, and I get that, and that's cool.
I wonder if their skills will translate.
That's a good question.
Like if you're really good at
Good
2K,
question,
like you'll
like-
just be
He
amazing.
just, play, he
with
just
LeBron
plays
and
like he does in the
multiverses.
basketball game. Also, I like you saying George Lucas said that LeBron's going to be in the game. What if LeBron said that George Lucas was going to be in the game?
Ooh, that's even better. That's even better. He'd have like Darth Vader as a stand. I could see that.
See? All right.
Yeah,
Warner Brothers,
that
call us
works.
up.
yeah. But I do.
Yeah, Warner Brothers, they own Star Wars, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Famously, they do.
I do love how it plays. It definitely leans into that 2v2 element of the game where to me I don't feel like Smash is a good 2v2 game. It doesn't. This definitely has mechanics geared towards that. Where that was
Yeah, that was like their main goal.
yeah, when that was a negative for me at first, it does feel better in the beta how characters interact with each other. I feel like the camera angles are a little weird. They usually get a little tight in some stages, so I'm hoping that gets fixed. Because it's hard to focus on your character when things are so tight into a corner when certain things get done. So hopefully they work on that, but it does play very good. There's some lag in certain matches where I'll be at one end of the stage. On my screen, I'll be hitting someone. Maybe on their screen, I'm not. And then the next thing I know, I'm at the other end of the screen. So it's a little bit of lag. And
That's the rollback netcode. Like if there's a desync between like you and the other person, like something like one of you guys is looking at the real game, and then eventually it'll sync everyone up. So that's that jump you see. It's like it was like, oh, let me catch up to like where the actual game is. So like that's kind of the one detriment to it. But in general, it's supposedly more stable because it's predicting what's gonna happen before it happens. So if it ever gets it wrong, that's when you get those jumps.
it happens very often. I would say almost
Well, then I think that's bad netcode then.
a couple times each match. But I didn't have this happen in the alpha. I don't know why, but it's definitely happening in the open beta. So I'm hoping that gets fixed because it's cost me the match.
It could be who you were playing too, maybe.
That's true. I don't know if it's anybody. It didn't seem like a pattern, but hopefully it gets fixed. But it was very fun to play. As far as watching, oh man, nothing. That's all I got. I finished everything.
You watching nothing at all.
I
Okay.
finished everything. I mean, I guess I finished Miss Marvel too. I thought that was really good. I enjoyed it as well. It's probably one of my top up there with Loki as well. I rewatched Falcon and the Winter Soldier. A lot of the Marvel shows I've only watched once. So that was like episode every week type situation. So this was the first time I went back and watched it all at one time, and it was a lot of stuff I missed. And it was better than I thought it was the first time watching it. So that's good as well. And I mean, that's about it.
Okay.
Nice.
Thank you for sharing.
Oh,
How
you're
about you, Marty?
I saw last week. I saw Nope in theaters. I'm assuming no one here saw Nope.
Yeah, not
Ooh.
yet.
Okay, it's a very hard movie to talk about, and I wouldn't want to spoil a single thing because what the movie is part of like the real joy of it. I really loved it. I'm extremely high on Get Up. I thought Us was beautiful and interesting, but ultimately I saw it once and haven't really had any desire to go back and rewatch Us.
I think Us fell apart as soon as they tried to explain what was going on.
Yeah, and I think this movie kind of learns from that and is fine with presenting interesting ideas and leaving certain things up to you, not trying to over-explain itself. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I think Daniel Kaluuya and Kiki Palmer are incredible as the two leads. And yeah, I think it's just like big swing after big swing, like a lot of really big, meaty, interesting ideas. I understand why some people aren't liking it, but I feel like this is gonna be one of those movies that like 10 years from now is looked back on as like possibly a modern masterpiece. Really good. Yeah, really good. I'm excited for more folks to see it so we can sort of have more like what the fuck did I just watch discussions talking about like the movies he's trying to make, and everything. So yeah, Jordan Peele's just great though. Like that's like so few people are even like a swing and a miss like Us to me is so much more exciting than kind of just phoning it in for like a big blockbuster kind of thing.
I mean, I'm glad to hear that you and a couple other like reviewers and stuff that I follow have liked it, because after Get Out, I feel like he's had a lot of misses. Like Us to me was like a big miss, and then like he was like in charge of that Twilight Zone.
Yeah, he was the executive
people didn't
producer.
like.
Yeah.
And I think there was something else. Like he also did something, I think, with Lena Waithe, which also wasn't like received very well.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh wow, I hope he's not like a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Like, Get Out was like really, really good.
Yeah, Get Out's pretty much as high of
a
a debut as you can imagine from a writer director. And I guess it's like debut in the sense of like his own singular stuff, because obviously he's been around for a long time.
Yeah, like he's been doing, but I mean this particular brand, right? Because he wasn't producing like horror or thriller.
No, not at all. It was very
right?
weird. Yeah, it's interesting that there's
shift.
this modern flock of comedians turned like genre filmmakers, like Bill Hader with Barry and Donald Glover with Atlanta, and
John Krasinski
with A Quiet Place. Yeah, even Olivia Wilde, the actress, with her new movie called Don't Worry, Darling, looks like fucking incredible. Looks like this like amazing. Again, looks almost like a episode of the Twilight Zone. It's also just got like a stellar cast.
Was she a comedic actress though?
She wasn't a comedic actress. No, I guess I was just thinking of like actor turned. She might have said something in a movie that made me laugh once.
she might have had a joke here or there.
She might have had a joke.
Counts,
she was married to Jason Sudeikis for a while. They probably made jokes.
That's true. Oh, Jason Sudeikis
with Ted Lasso.
Yeah, with freaking Ted Lasso. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. See, it all comes back around.
It all came back together.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I've also been my big project for the past couple weeks and for the next couple weeks has been a full Game of Thrones rewatch. And I'm currently a couple episodes into season 4. So that show, great. What could possibly go wrong? Two thumbs up.
Have you seen the trailer for the prequel coming out?
I did. It
Dragons?
looked like more Game of Thrones. Like it looked almost too much like more Game of Thrones. So I'm hoping. I'm just like, oh, it's just more like dragons and blonde girls in the same room. Like, what are we doing? I hope it's cool.
Is it just me who cannot tell the difference between House of Dragons and
the Lord of the Rings show?
The Power of the Ring. What is it called?
They come out Rings of Power.
Oh, Rings of Power.
Rings of Power. Like I keep seeing images and trailers, and I don't know which one it is until words come on screen.
I think it'd be cool if they just like swapped. Like all of a sudden you get to episode 3, and it's just they swap episodes like a little April Fool's Day. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's because the one they're showing is the Elven lady, I think that is, with that
Galadriel?
same color. Yeah, with the same color hair. But like, if you keep watching the trailer, Casey, you'll see like dwarves and stuff. So
that's how
maybe you're not watching it long enough. Yeah,
I guess there are.
What is Tyrion though?
Well,
Tyrion's a dwarf. Think about that.
Yeah,
Tyrion is a dwarf. Yeah, I was like, there's.
Well, they have beards. All the dwarves mostly have beards, even the
That's
women,
true.
So.
Tyrion at the most gets like little stubbles.
Yeah.
I feel like you're asking too much. If I gotta wait till the dwarves show up to know which one I'm looking at.
TTD, time to dwarf.
They won't show any dragons. They'll show Balrogs. I think that was in the latest trailer. They showed the Balrog and the Ring of Power. So
it is funny that those are debuting like a week apart.
Right.
Like, what if you guys didn't do that? What if you had one and then a couple months later you had another one?
Right. Like spread it out a little bit,
Yeah.
I just in general, I think they're too similar in tone.
Yeah.
And look.
Yeah,
Like, you might get fatigued if you just go from like one to the other.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how those two pan out. Like how if Thrones is able to recapture sort of being, at one point the cultural zeitgeist. Like it was the biggest thing in pop culture.
I don't think it will.
Yeah,
I
mean,
don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
It's living in its shadow, and I don't know if it'll be good, but how good it is, I don't think it'll ever hit the same height.
Yeah.
Especially with the way the last season ended, I think that did a lot of harm as well to anything coming after it. Like that Jon Snow prequel they were talking about.
Ugh.
I have zero hopes.
Or
in
a sequel. No, they said they're making a sequel.
Oh yeah, sequel. Yup, it's supposed to
Yeah.
take place after. I don't want to spoil it. I don't know who haven't seen it. After he finishes his journey in the current mythos. So
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, like I have zero interest in that too. Like I can't think of anything, honestly, post or prequel in terms of like the Game of Thrones universe that like I'm actively waiting on. Like maybe I'll check out that show if I hear good things about it, but like I wasn't anticipating it.
one that got canceled,
My excitement's grown as I've been doing this rewatch because I'm doing this rewatch and I'm like, damn, this show's really good.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it is.
I'm like,
yeah.
damn, oh, they have this wedding? They just kill everybody at the wedding? It's crazy.
Yep.
What are you
A
doing?
Red Wedding, man. Red Wedding. It was a really good show. I think that last
a really good
season did a lot of harm. But it, like, even then, like, overall, I think the good definitely outweighed the bad.
Good absolutely outweighs the bad. And I keep banging this drum, but I do not think a bad ending ruins what comes before it. And I know a lot of people do think that.
But it can absolutely ruin what comes after. Because George Lucas in chat is saying Brienne could carry a Game of Thrones spin-off show. And like I would have agreed with that until all of her actions in that final season.
Yeah.
She became very unlikable and very like practically a completely different character in that last season.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like, yeah, I don't give a shit what she
What if
she wants
what if the Jon
do
Snow
after this.
the Jon Snow thing, the first episode he just wakes up and is like, oh, I had a bad dream, and then they just redo the last season.
Boom.
We need more pop culture mulligans. If we can just get like more fucking Fantastic Four movies, if they could be like, that Miles Teller thing that wasn't real, like, well, that's fine. Jessica Alba, that wasn't real either. We'll just do a new one.
It was the multiverse of Thrones.
Yeah, why can't Thrones have a multiverse? Everything else can have a fucking multiverse. Isn't Arya Stark literally in multiverses? So there you go.
Look, it can't be worse. It can't be worse than the actual ending. Like that,
No.
if Jon Snow wakes up and was like, what a terrible dream. Like, that's still better. Whatever they do has to be better.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope. But on the subject of dragons and fantasy and whatnot, we got a trailer for a new Dungeons and Dragons movie subtitled Honor Among Thieves. It stars a lot of familiar faces. Chris Pine is the lead, I guess.
I think he's secret best, Chris.
Right.
Really?
People don't put enough to his name. I think he's secret best, Chris.
He does a lot of good stuff.
I don't know about that.
Name something
He's consistent.
Yeah, he's very consistent.
He stays here. He doesn't have the Pratt falls of Chris Pratt.
Sounds good.
He veers outside his lane, unlike Hemsworth. Chris Evans
Didn't Chris Hemsworth play like a hacker and a scientist?
Yeah.
Like
He was
in
that new
fucking
Netflix movie that just came out.
No, in that Ghostbusters, right? Is that what you're talking about? The
No.
Ghostbusters-
Okay, no. In Ghostbusters, he was like a secretary or whatever, right? Yeah.
He's real.
But no, he was in a
hard
movie,
part.
Black Hat. He was in a movie where he was a hacker.
What are we talking
And
about?
he's
Black
in something new where he's like a virologist or something.
Yeah.
Well, he's in that one movie with Miles Teller. Shout out to Miles Teller getting two shouts in one episode. That straight to Netflix movie, the one it was by the guy who did Top Gun. Spiderhead. It's called Spiderhead. It sounds like I made that movie up, but it
really
there's
does.
actually a movie called Spiderhead.
The phrase, the guy who made Top Gun, he made a movie called Spiderhead. That didn't sound real to me at all.
And his other movie is trending on Netflix now. The one where they were like on horseback. It's like a retelling of like actual events.
Yeah. About a
Called
fire.
Horsehead?
About fires. No, it's called. Oh no, the tree's on fire.
It was like during these troops that were in Afghanistan hunting for Bin Laden. They got into like a battle with a warlord, and they were on horseback using guns and stuff like that.
I'm gonna be honest. I think we're thinking about other movies because I was totally thinking about dudes fighting a forest fire.
I have no idea what
you're
talking about anymore.
You're
talking about ... Oh shit, is that Bin Laden? That's what the movie's called. Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have all seen this trailer,
Mm-hmm.
right? My first impression, I thought it was actually like real fun looking,
It looks like
like
Guardians of the
like a big
Galaxy.
dumb
with
action
dragons.
thing. It does, yeah,
That's
very much
exactly
like
what it looks like.
all the characters apparently are thieves. Like the plot is that they stole something for someone and that turned out to be bad, and now the world's in trouble. So now they're trying to rectify that, but they're all kind of lovable scoundrels in their own way. Michelle Rodriguez is also in it. She plays like a big warrior lady.
Right.
I think that's really good casting.
The barbarian.
Yeah.
Michelle Rodriguez is my favorite character in any movie.
No matter,
She just plays
Yeah.
herself, right?
She's
She's a real tough lady.
Yeah, in Resident Evil, she plays Michelle Rodriguez. In Blood Rain, she plays Michelle Rodriguez. In Fast and Furious, she plays Michelle Rodriguez.
Lost, she was Michelle Rodriguez. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love seeing Michelle Rodriguez character as Michelle Rodriguez. It's great.
All right. So, what are you guys' impressions of this
It
trailer?
looks fun. It definitely looks like Guardians of the Galaxy with dragons. It reminds me of Vex Machina from Amazon Prime. In a similar way to that, where they, wind up going, they were, not the greatest of character. They wind up getting put in this position where they had to be the heroes, the unlikely heroes, the fun banter, the action scenes. It seems very similar.
Mhm.
Looks good though. I'm excited to see what it's going to turn into. And I do agree with the Chris Pine. I think he does some good work, and I am excited to see him in this. The last couple things I think I've seen him was in that Jack Ryan movie he was in. There was he was in Wonder Woman, both of them, the 1984 one.
Yeah.
He probably
He
was.
wasn't Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited to see. It looks good.
Yeah, and it's directed by written and directed by the duo who they did Game Night. Did you guys ever watch Game Night
yes,
with
yes,
Rachel
yes.
McAdams?
Oh,
and-
with
Yes.
John Cena.
was that John
No
Cena?
game. No game night.
Game Night was
with,
Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman.
Yes.
It's like where they like every week they have like a friend's game night, and it turns out the game night becomes like embroiled in an actual like murder conspiracy, but the teens don't
Yeah.
realize it. It's like a dark comedy.
Oh.
And they
It's
all think it's
real-
part of the game. Yeah.
It's really fucking good. It's like one of
Yeah, I
the
might not
funniest
see
and most
that.
like clever like big budget kind of concept comedies in the last couple of years. And they also wrote the first new Spider-Man movies, so they wrote Spider-Man: Homecoming. So
Okay.
that sort of energy transposed into a D&D world that doesn't take itself too seriously, obviously a la like Critical Role, and yeah, getting heavy Guardians of the Galaxy vibes. I think it looks neat. Yeah. And again, like I think if they would have tried to handle it too kind of dry fantasy world, like the tone of that, we were talking about that original D&D movie from 15, 20 years ago, the one with Matthew Lillard and Marlon Wayans and Jeremy Irons. Like, yeah, like that was like they almost had actors as comic relief and then actors as playing it very seriously, and like the movie was just like a kind of like a endearing hodgepodge. But hopefully this kind of understands what it wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That
I
was
don't know.
that old formula where there was always one guy or two guys who were comedy relief, and everyone else kind of just went about the normal routine. That doesn't work as well anymore as it used to.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think it worked well back then either. Just people
That's
didn't
true.
know better.
That's true.
Like maturity, growth.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've had no idea that there were older Dungeons and Dragons movies. So like when I was sent that trailer, yeah, Jesse says there are three of them. I only saw the Jeremy Irons.
I think the other
image
ones were
and
like
stuff.
straight. Yeah, I think right.
Oh, absolutely. They
Yeah,
have like
yeah.
zero budget.
Yeah.
And they're kind of fun because they have zero budget. And it's obvious that nobody except the like people involved, like directly involved with the production, gave a rat's rear end about this movie. Like, but it's sincere. They are fun. I'm kind of hoping that's the attitude that this has, because like I don't want to be too cynical, but seeing the like, I also am not a huge fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, despite I really like that hard luck hero where you're not supposed to be where you're at. I enjoy that as a concept, but I feel like it is a like a low, like in fantasy, a low fantasy thing. Like if you start getting too involved with politics and budgets and like both on a story level and on a macro level where it's like, well, this needs to be the big summer blockbuster, like you lose what makes that genre endearing. And that's something that I don't like about Guardians of the Galaxy, is that it doesn't feel like it's actually what it's trying to be to me. It feels like a corporate mandated production of this thing that the kids like.
It's funny that you say that, because I do think that this is exactly that.
Yeah,
Like
but
this,
definitely is.
like
Yeah.
this seems like a foot in the door of more franchise, right? It's like, okay, so we can have this band of A-list, A and B-list actors basically be the party here. It has a subtitle of Honor Among Thieves because they're all thieves, right? But then your next Dungeons and Dragons movie can have an entirely different cast because it's the same world, but it's a bunch of different role players kind of doing their thing over here. And then you get your big event where, hey, remember the guys from that first movie and then remember the guys from the second movie? They get to clash because it's all the shared world, shared universe, whatever. Like everyone's chasing that. This is a perfect vehicle for it. But I will say, like this seems to be a quality inroad to getting a shared universe, which, you know, some of the earlier attempts, like Universal's monster attempts, didn't really make as much sense. Like this makes a lot more sense. So if they can play this right, I think they may actually go down that path. But that is to the detriment of what you're saying, because like, yeah, it's a corporate strategy. So like, yeah, like maybe the fun and endearingness of it is a little more calculated than you would like.
Yeah, yeah. No, I 100% hear where you're coming from. Yeah, a lot of times those things, when you try to do a big shared universe, they don't focus on like creating a solid foundation. They're like, we're gonna do a shared universe, and then they release a shitty movie, and I'm like, well, what's like, this is never gonna happen. Like, why would you even think about doing this? Yeah, people are trying to ape off what the MCU is able to do without realizing that like Iron Man 1, you know, despite the fact that it might not hold up extremely well nowadays, like was a like phenomenal building block, and like they went out and just made a good movie with an extremely strong lead, and weren't like, wow, this is gonna be the start of 100 movies. Like they kind of just went out to make one good movie and then built from there.
Yeah, because Iron Man was a very obtuse character. Not a lot of people thought he could carry his own movie.
No, absolutely, he was a B-lister.
Mm-hmm. I would say this is needed. That type of feeling is going to be needed, the comedy, because they're going to try to appeal to everybody. And we see that before, where if they just put out a hardcore D&D movie, it's less likely to generate the revenue that they wanted to generate. So they're going to have it Guardians of the Galaxy-esque, or like, you know, we've seen that before with another option. You know, James Gunn does a great job of like Peacekeeper. That I had zero expectations about that, and that was probably one of the best shows, you know, comic TV shows, period. So
Really good.
Yeah, it was just so good,
especially of the DC side of things.
I mean, even on the Marvel side of things, like it was
it was good or better than even some of the Marvel shows, but like DC in particular, like we've seen them fail over and over again in terms of adapting stuff.
We're not talking about that. I feel like you're poking fun where there's no need.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to say how much of an outlier it was from the rest of its stable.
I'm just messing with you, but yeah.
All we're saying is Zack Snyder doesn't know how to tell stories.
Are we saying that, or is Zack Snyder saying that? Because he says it every time he makes a movie.
Making it abundantly clear.
That is true.
He's really good at making animated GIFs.
He's good at that.
Without sound. Like,
yeah,
it's great.
Really great at making
I don't
GIFs.
feel like Josh Whedon is that good at telling stories either, but that's another thing.
No,
but we
he's
saw
good at harassing people on his sets.
That is very true. We saw that. We heard about that. James Gunn did a great job with the newest Suicide Squad. He turned that completely around. I feel like that was like night and day. So I think they're going for that same type of formula, and I think it could work, and it could be the foundation of them building, like you said, a shared universe, and maybe we might get a more serious one. Whatever, they can't. This formula will get old if they do the same thing every movie. James Gunn makes it work somehow. he makes it work. I don't know how he makes it work, but he does. But I don't see that translate into every movie from this. And I don't feel like this has to be a shared universe. It could just be, a one-off, but we don't get those anymore. We just get
Yeah, like
yeah.
I can't imagine, like, especially if it does well. Like I can't
Right.
imagine they would like abandon it. Honey Money asking, didn't Gunn have his own scandal way back? Sort of. Like
Yeah,
it was a
old
situation where
tweet
like
he did, like-
people went and
Pretty
dug
joke
up
tweets,
like
yeah.
very very old like off-color jokes that he made and tried to use that against him, and it almost worked.
I mean, they fired him for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
But like, I think over time it went like, all right, maybe that was a little
Well, a lot of people went to bat for him.
nonsensical.
You had like Dave Bautista. You had a bunch of people go to bat for him. I'm saying they wouldn't go back unless James Gunn came back. So
Yeah.
he had a lot of people in his corner, rooting for him and trying to, saying that, speaking to his character, like, hey, that's not the guy he is. And we
Well,
all
and the
know,
funny
like,
thing about that is we don't need to get in politics, but that was like a conservative-led campaign. So
Yeah,
that was literally cancel culture. Like
Yeah.
that was the epitome of cancel culture. Like fire this person from his job for his
right,
his
old-
previous jokes.
And that was the thing.
But-
Like a lot of comedy doesn't hold up the way it does now. We've all said stuff in
Does
the
not.
past, like in the '90s, where it's not funny anymore. It just doesn't work anymore.
I
And
mean,
think that's-
watching a comedy from like I brought up the first Iron Man. The first Iron Man has some jokes where you're like, ugh,
Oh my God, yeah.
ew. What are we doing here? But yeah, my last thoughts on the D&D thing are I totally understand why they're doing the goofy route, because I think that is the current influx of D&D popularity is because of things that don't take themselves too seriously, like Critical Role, like Adventurers Nigh. Like that is kind of the
Stranger Things. as in,
Stranger
like-
Things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think that is kind of like how D&D is becoming more mainstream now than it's ever been. It's by being
Yeah.
around since the 80s. So yeah, I understand why they're doing it. And, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think the writer and directors are really talented. So I would love to see.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see their take on it.
I don't know. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say D&D wasn't very mainstream before. I didn't hear about D&D growing up until I
I
like
think
my
that's too many
20s.
D's, Jeff.
D&D. I didn't hear about D&D.
Diners, drive-ins, and dungeons. D&D.
But I didn't hear about that until I got my 20s. Like that wasn't something that was played where I grew up. I mean, sure, KC didn't hear
Yeah.
about Dungeons and Dragons until later. Like I didn't hear about
Yeah, it
Magic
was
the
like
Gathering
well known.
until like I got in my 20s. Like so, like it's becoming more mainstream because of the mediums that it's shown up in. So I think it's a good time to bring it up. Especially with like you said, Stranger Things. That last season was very predominant in there. So you're trying to build on that and try to keep it going.
Yeah. And like King Dad says, we just literally talked about two massive high profile fantasy things that are extremely serious in Lord of the Rings and
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. So, if you want your serious fantasy, there's plenty of places for it.
Yeah. I think what you were saying about a lot of like RPG and D&D based media that is kind of on the jokey side. But if you, for the past 20 years, there have been tons of small independent underground films about RPGs that are this exact formula.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that this is, I think that's part of the reason why I'm a little more cynical towards it and a little more like, is because I've seen this before dozens of times. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But there's a lot of people that make films just like this. Usually there's some sort of back and forth where it's like leans more into the game side, where there will be like a subplot of them at the table versus them in the game. But not always. And a lot of stuff just feels a lot like this.
Wait, you're saying there's a bunch of movies about people playing D&D?
Oh my gosh, there's tons of them. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I've not seen any
They're,
of them.
they're not popular. Like, they're very niche audience. Like, it's
Oh, they're very,
it's
like,
basically a bunch
yeah.
of friends who know someone who runs a Ren fair and are like, can we use this during the off season to shoot a movie? And they're like, yeah, I guess so. And then they go and shoot a movie about fantasy stuff. Yeah, that's generally played for comedy and very low budget. But yeah, it's very similar to what this presents itself as.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Respect.
I mean, it still sounds like a fun time. Like even if they, in this case, they're throwing a bunch of money and budget at the concept. Like it from what you're describing, it sounds like it has worked and it can work.
Just hoping
Yes, it does.
they don't keep showing more. Like I think that trailer was enough. I don't want them to keep doing extra trailers and showing more of the story. Like that's what kind of gets me with certain stuff, like Fast and the Furious, where they gave you everything in the last movie in the trailer. You knew Han was alive. You knew Dom had a brother. Like it told me all the big twists were in the trailer. So I'm hoping like this trailer is it. Like give me some high points, show me some action. That's it. Don't give me any more, because they gave you a good amount of the story of, because which we got from is they stole something they weren't supposed to. Now they got to go get it back. I get that. It's a new franchise. You got to give a little bit more so people can feel that like they know what's going on with it. But I think that should be it. Don't do any more trailers with additional content.
In a perfect world, I agree with you, but this movie's not coming out till March, so we are gonna get fucking trailers jammed down our throat.
I didn't even know about
Look,
Yeah, 2023.
I managed to avoid the last major Nope trailer, but now I go on YouTube and I get pre-roll ads for Nope, and I'm like, I'm glad I didn't see this beforehand, because there's like a bunch of like incredible shots from there's also, I got a pre-roll trailer that gives away the big word that is said at the end of Miss Marvel, like the weekend the show came out. Like I'd already seen it because I was covering it for The Escapists, but like a pre-roll trailer on YouTube was like Bruno talking to her and being like, "You're different, you're blank," and I'm like, "Why are you showing this? Like the thing came out like fucking 12 hours ago."
Or they have it as a thumbnail, and it's like, I can't avoid that. I didn't see the whole thumbnail. Like, why would you do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other conversation. The whole spoiler.
Yeah. It's also weird when it's like it's the own, like the Nope thing was clearly, it was like a trailer they made, so it wasn't like Variety or IGN or something spoiling something. It was like the same thing. The Miss Marvel pre-roll thing was it was a commercial for Disney Plus. So
wow,
everyone's guilty. Everyone needs to.
Maybe they just don't care anymore. They're like, look,
if you haven't seen it day one, it's your fault.
Or maybe we're just too fucking online. Maybe I just need to get off the internet.
That's a possibility.
Maybe I need to read some of those books that keep bullying people about.
those ebooks.
Yeah, those ebooks.
Yeah, get those ebooks.
Okay, so we'll move off of the Dungeons & Dragons trailer and onto the Wakanda Forever trailer. This is the sequel to Black Panther. This is the first footage. Well, no, I think there was like a very small teaser forever ago. Something with water. I don't know. But
You're thinking of Avatar.
Yeah.
Am I thinking of
I think you're literally thinking of Avatar, because this movie looks like Avatar too.
Yeah, like in the beginning, this is the first peak of anything besides the title.
What I want to say is song choice phenomenal.
Yeah,
like this cover of Bob Marley's "No Woman No Cry," and then it fusing into "We're Gonna Be All Right" from Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
Like at the end, I was like, that like did stuff to like my emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. And I think even the people, like, I watched New Rockstar and he was talking about it, it was even getting to him. I'm like, there's no way that opening part does not get to you and have you feel some type of way. Like you're still mourning the death of Chadwick Boseman. Like, yeah, it was such a good, very well done.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so what are you guys' overall feelings of
I'll go last.
What they showed in that trailer, about maybe how they're gonna handle the events that have taken place in the real world that are now affecting the movie. And we got a glimpse of what looks like a new Black Panther.
Right.
Yeah. I had no idea how they were going to possibly handle this. Mm-hmm. But I had faith in, because again, talking about folks who are like batting 1,000, like Jordan Peele and stuff, like folks who, like, I want to give the benefit of the doubt because at the very least you're doing something interesting. Like Ryan Coogler is that same way, like between Fruitvale and Creed and the original Black Panther.
I've not seen a bad movie from him yet.
Yeah. And the fact that it seems like he ultimately had the final call for if this movie would exist or not. And he said yes. And it seems like all of the cast rallied around that, and so I kind of have faith in whatever way they're going to handle it. And I was still a little apprehensive, but then seeing the trailer, like, just kind of, it feels like they're just dealing with it head on, and right. I think that's such a like a bold and interesting way to tell a story as opposed to just recasting. And I would have understood it, I guess, if they recasted, but it would have been so because superheroes have been recast. Like we're about to get the Fantastic Four and the X-Men recasted, that
Right.
kind of thing. Like it happens all the time, but obviously not rarely in these circumstances. And so yeah, just dealing with it head on, I think is super interesting. In that trailer, like you said, like if even if the movie is bad, this is a phenomenal trailer. Like as a single 2.5 minute piece of art, it's like beautiful. Like the thought behind it is so different than like 99% of trailers, which are just like cut together some goofs, loose thread of the plot, that kind of thing, a stinger at the end. Like this is like its own piece of art with the music and everything. And like you said, going from that No Woman No Cry cover to We Gonna Be All Right, just yeah, amazing. And also just looks fucking gorgeous. Like I don't know shit about Namor, but like I'm all in on some weird underwater stuff. Like that seems like
Yeah, like it.
They're definitely
Like
going
all
into
the
the
stuff
Mayan
about
part, too.
Namor and Submariner, like it's very like Mayan and Incan tribe influence. Like that looks so cool. That they decided to go that route. Like I don't know if that was Ryan Coogler's idea or like some other entity, but I was very impressed by that.
Yeah, because I definitely knew for the movie, because in the comics there is no connection between Atlantis and Mayans or anything like that. So it's definitely a new introduction and a welcome one.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Especially with the way they've used like aesthetic, like they've used like a general African aesthetic to like build out the futuristic world of Wakanda. Thinking about a similar attention to detail with like Mayan Incan designs and architecture and stuff for the Atlantis stuff. Like I'm very excited to see how all that looks.
Yeah, and it looks like it's dealing with like really kind of similar themes of like colonization, and you have these like the white paramilitary group going after seemingly both. I imagine they're going to be antagonists for the first half of the movie and then band together in the second half. There's also been some rumors that this might be the movie that introduces Doctor Doom in some fashion, which given what they announced for Phase 6, which is just insane. What are we doing? What are we announcing movies? What's happening? What are we doing?
I haven't looked at that. Did they announce what 2032? They got all their stuff ready?
No, now it seems like phases last a year and a half, and they have 10,000 movies in that year and a half. But I believe
2025 is when stuff in Phase 6
kicks
off, right?
I believe it was 2024. At the end of 2024 is Fantastic Four, and then 2025 is the pair of new Avengers movies, which are the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars.
Secret Wars,
yeah. And there's still some open spots in there too that they haven't filled.
Oh, the entire thing is open. Yeah, so I imagine that's where you get X-Men? Question mark? Yeah. Yeah. Or like the sequel, like every Marvel thing ever teases a sequel, so I don't know if that's where you get Thor 4, Doctor Strange 3,
Blade 2.
Give me my Harry Styles. You can't just show me Harry Styles and not give me Harry Styles. Bring in Harry Styles, whoever the fuck he's playing. Thanos' brother? Sure, get him in here.
Star Fox movie.
Blade?
Yeah, get my Star Fox
Harry
movie,
Styles?
Harry Styles is playing Thanos.
No, Harry Styles is playing Star Fox.
Yeah, he's playing
Not Star Fox as in Fox
Thanos.
McCloud. Another man. Yeah.
I didn't want to clear that up. I want to focus it.
Thanos' brother.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, not Thor 4. Thor 5. Whatever next Thor would be.
That is the fourth one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I still got to see it. But I think it looks very good. I think it does a great job, like Marty said, as far as being a trailer. It makes you excited, but still doesn't tell you exactly what's going on. Like, I still have no clue about what's... I have some indication, like, in the comics, Namor, like, he floods Wakanda during a war that they have. So I'm thinking that might play some type of role in it. I don't know how it's going to come about. Came about differently in the comics. Also, like, they show us the Black Panther at the end, but it's a different color suit. We don't know who that is. It does look very feminine, like the arm and the leg and stuff. So
yeah, and like there's a image too that they're showing, the poster of like a new helmet. It looks a lot more like slim and feminine, honestly.
Yeah, I'd bet money that's Shuri, right?
Yeah, we all.
Yeah, that seems to be.
Yeah, that like she'll be the Black Panther, and like M'Baku or someone will be King of Wakanda.
And it looks very good. Like I love they show like the water birth of, I would guess that's Namor. On the comics, Namor is usually he's the first mutant. He's the first mutant that they introduce in the comics. I don't know if they're gonna go that route this time. But he's also a different color, it looks like, from his other people. Like, if you see some of the Atlanteans, they look blue.
Yeah,
and he's not blue.
that looked like Avatar.
Yeah, it was like
James Cameron came on set. He's like, "This man can't be blue. Make him
can't
any
be
other
blue."
color. I will sue you into the fucking stratosphere."
So very. It looks like I said, looks beautiful, and then Angela Bassett's her speech. Oh my god, with that music was just phenomenal.
Yeah, and then they cut to like the mural of Chadwick
yeah.
Boseman's face.
And I'm wondering how they're going to explain his death in the beginning, because that's something, or he was missing or something like that. I wonder how that's going to explain in the beginning of what happened to him and how they're going to go about, and how is it going to be satisfying. I believe it's going to be satisfying. I wonder whatever role they go to explain what happened to him. I feel like it's going to hit. I'm just hoping that they do it properly. It looks very respectable. We see them in the white, which is like the opposite. Usually white is for a wedding, but for them that's for a funeral. So you see them in the white. You hear the drums banging. So they're mourning, but they're also celebrating because he's going to the ancestral planes. So there's a chance, I don't know how, unless they did like CGI or something like that we could see him in the ancestral planes.
I would fucking hate that. I don't think they should CGI him.
They should. I feel like they should
shouldn't do that.
They should do Killmonger instead of it being Chadwick Boseman. It should be Eric Killmonger. They should do Michael B. Jordan when she goes. She could see him, or she could see her grandfather.
Yeah. I imagine it'll be something like that, or what was the name? The guy from This Is Us who played the Killmonger's dad.
Michael.
Yeah.
No, Michael K. Williams is.
No?
Is it Michael K. Williams?
Oh, that's Omar.
What's the guy's name?
Shoot, what is that man's name?
It's like he's secretly buff
his
as
name
shit.
was Randall in the TV show.
This Is Us.
Yeah, he's secretly buff as shit. Just Google
Secretly?
Sterling K. Brown.
Secretly, Sterling K. Okay, it was the K.
It's the K.
I can see that. That'd be
He's
very
secretly
interesting.
buff.
He is secretly buff. Look up Sterling K. Brown secretly buff.
Secretly buff.
No, that also reminds me of the dude who played Chidi in The Good Place. He's also
there's like a goof on the show. He takes
buff.
his shirt off, and everyone's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I did not expect him to be built like that.
I'm expecting it. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm expecting this to be secretly buff. If I look at a picture, it's gonna be like that scene from Ichi the Killer of the old man, who's secretly a bodybuilder.
I guess it's less secretly buff and more of just like, oh, he doesn't take his shirt off and all this stuff. Because This Is Us is all about like, oh, we're sad because our dad died in a fire or something. I don't know what his dad died on that show. I know the fire was
They keep changing the story.
The fire was a trick. What if it turns out the dad didn't die? He was just like, I'm sick of these fucking kids, and just like bounced and like has like a new wife in Reno.
I haven't seen the end.
What if he got killed by Soldier Boy? We don't know.
Think about that. You're talking about Soldier Boy from The Boys and not Soldier Boy Tell 'Em? Okay.
No, he's talking about Soldier Boy the rapper.
Soldier Boy the rapper, yeah. He killed him because he wouldn't invest in his clearly illegal video game console.
Right.
He killed him because he took his verse off of his album.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm really excited about this movie, and it's that along with She-Hulk are the end of Phase 4.
Yeah.
And then they showed like the big splash for Phase 5, which I think George Lucas, someone in the chat was mentioning. I don't know what half these things are. Yeah, if you would have showed this slate to someone, even when the first Avengers movie came out, I mean, like this is where we're gonna be like 15 years from now. Like it is gobbledygook. Like it is like you're like, who are these people? Yeah. I'm excited for them, but it's just like I know Blade, I know Daredevil, I've seen those men before, but it's just like it's just strange that like Agatha's getting a show and Ironheart, who's being introduced in Wakanda Forever, obviously to sort of take the Iron Man mantle. Yeah.
Now I wonder.
No, go ahead.
I wonder if her suit is going to incorporate some Wakanda tech, whether it's going to have vibranium or what.
I would imagine, yeah.
Because traditionally it's very similar to the Tony Stark suit. So I'm wondering if it's going to have some vibranium or whatever, some tech in it, since she is there with Shuri. And it seems like her intelligence is supposed to be close to or on par with Shuri's. In the comics.
Yeah, it seems like the two of them will like obviously have a bond. And
like, is she Wakandan?
She's not. I think she's like
in the comics.
She's from like New York.
Right?
Yeah.
But like I'm wondering in this show in this movie if they're just rewriting her as also being Wakandan.
I don't think she was part of that whatever group they were that. So she was part of a research group. Supposedly, actually no, they seemed pretty close for just to be somebody she met.
Right, yeah, like
Yeah.
they like it was her and Shuri in the lab, like kind of dapping each other up, right?
Yeah.
And like from the shot where she was like doing the hammer, and like she seemed to have like some of the similar like adornments on her arms. Like,
Yeah.
she might be Wakandan in this.
Yeah, she might be, or they could be like, oh, it was like a work study program.
Right, or that could be like a later.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
That-
Yeah,
that
because
could
they
be
were
a-
building all those youth centers. Yeah,
Right.
that might be
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Yeah. They did open it up to the world.
Okay,
Yeah,
my dumb joke wasn't so dumb after all. George Lucas said, Secret Invasion, Echo, Ironheart, and Thunderbolts, those mean nothing to me. So Ironheart was the character we just mentioned, who's in the comics, Riri Williams, sort of takes the Iron Man mantle. Secret Invasion is Among Us with the Skrulls, who's been a Skrull this whole time. In the comics, it was like all these people were Skrulls. I can't imagine they're going to be like, fucking, oh, Doctor Strange, turns out he was a Skrull. You didn't
But
realize
they
you were
already
watching a bunch of
started doing
Skrull
that. They literally already started doing
Skrulls
that.
aren't the bad guys in the MCU right now.
No. And they did literally start doing that. That's Spider-Man
Like
2 did that, right?
like Sam
Jackson, that whole
Nick
movie.
Fury.
Yeah.
And they did it at the end of WandaVision.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yep.
But, like, in the comics, it was, like, major heroes. It would be like them
Yeah.
being like, oh, it turns out Gamora was a Skrull, and everyone would be like, she
Right.
was already green. I don't what.
Right.
I don't know.
How were we supposed
Was she
to
not a
tell?
Skrull beforehand?
Because they replaced there was an animated one where they replaced Captain America and he was a Skrull and he
Yeah.
convinced all these people that to disable their defenses and stuff like that. So when it was over, it made it hard for them to go back and trust them because you're not a Skrull anymore.
Yeah. That show sounds pretty cool because it has Emilia Clarke, Daenerys Targaryen's in it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think Olivia Colman's in it. Regé Jean Page. Did I say that guy's name right? You got to rev it up first.
There's no way you said that right.
What's his name? You know the guy. He's also got he's secretly buff. Regé Jean Page. He was in what was it called? Fucking Bridgerton. Johnny Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
that guy.
He's in the
Dungeons and
D&D thing.
Dragons, so-
He is.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That guy.
big
He's
day
not-
for Reggie Jean Page on the show.
right.
He's not secretly buff. I feel like you could look at that man and be like, I know.
Oh, you saying he's just regular buff?
Yeah, he's just regular buff. There's no secret about that.
He's not trying to hide his buffness from us.
Yeah,
right.
I've seen that man in full like Bridgerton attire layers, and it's like
Yeah.
he's got muscles under that.
He does.
Yeah. He's like, he's like buffing out from his fucking penny coat. Yeah, I can see that.
And then they said Daredevil was getting 18 episodes when it does release.
Yeah,
Which is
That's like
by
2
far the biggest.
and a half seasons.
It's a lot of
If you
Daredevil.
remember on Netflix, that's how long the seasons were on there, I think, if I'm not mistaken. They were up
That's
there.
good.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I guess they're going with that same formula because it worked. And if you see, they showed him, he's going to be in a couple things. He's going to be in
She-Hulk.
Spider-Man Home. Spider-Man was at,
Well, he was already in No Way Home.
no, he's in the
The
animated one
cartoon.
coming out.
Yeah.
He's going to
Freshman
be in
year.
that. Yep. He's gonna
Oh
be
right, can we talk about that a little bit? Like what? Like is this supposed to be like a prequel for Tom Holland Spider-Man,
Yeah,
or is
before
this
he met Tony Stark, Tony Stark.
Stony Tart.
Stony Tart?
Everybody's favorite character from the comics.
Before he met Stony, oh my god, sorry. This is him like his year one, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know. I don't think. I'm not sure if it's gonna be canonical though, because
I think they said it
Tom
was.
Holland's not voicing it, and they also showed a bunch of villains that are gonna be in it, like
They did. They show a lot.
like Doctor Octopus and shit. So there's he wouldn't fight Doctor Octopus freshman year and then senior year fight another
Not
Doctor
know-
Octopus and be like,
not
"Who are
know
you?"
he was, yeah.
You'd be like, "Why did I fought you before you had arms?" That's fine. Cartoons, everything doesn't need to be fucking canonical. Just
That's
make a
true.
cartoon.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm
Yeah.
excited about that. Is that I didn't? They didn't show any like footage from that though, right?
I just saw a
They
bunch of
showed,
concept
what
art.
it-
yeah,
looked
just
like.
the concept art. It looks very similar to the last animated series they did that just hit Netflix. I believe it is.
Oh, the
Where he went
not
to, like,
amazing.
when he went to like Horizon High and stuff like that, and
Yeah, I don't like the way those characters look. If I'm
I
being
just
honest,
mean like as
in that
far as
show.
like the story, like it looks very similar because it looks like the Dr. Octopus looked like he had like a lab coat on, like he works at his school. It was kind of the same thing here, so I don't know.
Mhm.
It definitely looks very similar to that. but updated.
Chat's going in on the the stony
Stanky
stony stanky tort, says the OG.
And then
Oh, man.
Daredevil's going to be in She-Hulk as well.
He's gonna be in She-Hulk, and he's gonna be in Echo, which is the series. Echo was a character introduced in Hawkeye.
Yeah,
That's good on Charlie Cox.
Yeah,
get that bread.
A lot more playtime. In the
I'm also excited for the Thunderbolts movie. Thunderbolts is pretty much just like I think it's just going to be the MCU's Dark Avengers. It's like the group that Elaine is putting together. I don't know her name. So
Elaine.
Yeah. She plays her slap bass. She gets fucking Kramer and then racist Captain America. All those dudes. Yeah.
Do you think they'll go with the same vibe as DC's Suicide Squad?
Isn't that what Thunderbolts is? Basically,
ostensibly,
yeah. Mostly, I guess it is criminals because they're all criminals. I think this is going to hit differently, because it comes after Captain America: New World Order. So I don't know if this is them kind of making the Thunderbolts the new Avengers to the public, like, hey, this is the face of your new heroes. But I don't think we have a Red Hulk yet, but we do have the Abomination. We have Baron Zemo. We have Elena. We have the Abomination.
There's two Abominations?
I think I said them already.
The Abomination of Obama's nation.
Abomination, Zemo, Elena, John Walker. I think that's all we have so far. I'm sure they'll introduce somebody else before then.
Well, and the actor who would have played Red Hulk died.
Colonel. Oh,
yeah, the guy who played Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah, I forgot.
So that's nice of them to name us. Chadwick Boseman gets a heartfelt tribute in the trailer, and then this movie is like, I just fucking name it Thunderbolts, whatever. Doesn't matter.
And I feel like Val will probably just assume
that's her name.
Yeah.
Elaine. You were so close.
Yeah.
Close, yeah. Val will probably assume whatever his role was. So instead of her working for him, she would have just been reaching out to these people on her own accord. Because we saw some hints of her with Hawkeye. She was in Hawkeye working with Kate Bishop's mom to hire Elena to go and take out.
I can imagine also her sort of being a part of the damage, like somehow associated with damage control. Also, damage control seems like it might be like the start of the Sentinel program. Like they keep fucking with stuff like that. Like they're sort of like watchdog using a surveillance system and creating these robots to hunt down people with powers.
Right,
seems like it could be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jesse. Does this all sound like nonsense to you?
Yeah, I was good.
All these teenage people with powers. That's who they are.
Young Avengers.
Yeah.
I do want to point out the last about 20 minutes of you talking, I think, is a really excellent point into the swamp that this is becoming. Because I don't really read those comics. Love comics. Don't read those comics. I'm not really up to date on a lot of stuff. And a lot of it is because it's like, remember this from the comics? And I'm like, no. So skip past it. I haven't seen Miss Marvel. I haven't seen any of the Disney shows. I've seen like
You're too busy with True Blood.
Yeah, I'm too busy with True Blood.
I respect it.
So like you talking about all of this has over the past 20 minutes has kind of deteriorated my interest. Is like, oh yeah, Wakanda Forever. I would like to see that. Oh, this other thing that's related to it. That's cool. Wait, this and then this is all I like. That's from an outside perspective. Like that's like that seems like too much. Like it sounds like I'm going to have to put more into it to get investment out of it, and that makes me not want to engage with it.
I think that's more so just, I think Limpy made a good point too. That's just comic nerds. I think half the fun is us speculating what we're going to see based on things we've read, based on things we want to see. So by no means do you need to know about these things from the comics. I feel like the shows do a great job of explaining these things on their own to like the general audience. So we don't need it much. Maybe a little bit like from movies.
I think
movies
most of them can stand alone and be their own things.
I kind of
Uh,
disagree, though. I feel like that's a problem with the movies and the shows that I've seen, is that not
You think they're
having that
too
knowledge,
interconnected
it's
with-
not a great standalone thing. Some of them are. Like, I
I think
think
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think some of them are.
Like to see Loki,
Uh,
you would have had to watch the Avengers. That's very true. Like certain things you would have had to see things that come before. But that's like any like you could think of these are like trilogies or well, obviously past trilogies, but like it's hard to understand what's going on in the Half-Blood Prince if you haven't seen the Harry Potters before it. Like
Mhm.
like
And
you
that-
don't need much comic knowledge, just some stuff that previously came before.
to your point, the Half-Blood Prince is what? Movie 4?
That's true.
What you're talking about is like 18 different shows that have fucking seasons on top of like 36 movies, some of which haven't aged well, as mentioned earlier, that still knowledge I'm supposed to have to get, and then the reward of that is on top of that already knowing a thing that happened 20 years ago in a comic book.
The comic
Like
book
the
part, you
reason,
get
but the
reward.
reason you get such enjoyment out, not the only reason, but
That's
a reason
true.
you get so much enjoyment out of it is because it's previous knowledge that you are getting. Whereas even if I understand it from a previous movie, it doesn't have that sort of weight or anything that I care about with it because, all right, cool, it's connected to this thing that happened earlier. That's just foreshadowing. That's storytelling 101. That's not something to get excited over.
I can see that. That's very true.
But Jesse, Agatha's coming. She got her own show. You excited for Agatha?
That legitimately registered like Elaine and every other person you mentioned is like, sure, I guess. Agatha? Yeah.
You
she's-
would like Agatha because she's a witch.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like just
I
like an
would-
old like a classic witch, like wear a hat
Yeah,
and
she's,
cackle
she's a
witch.
straight up witch.
Yeah.
And has like a black cat. So if you watch any of this, just chill with Agatha.
All right.
No, of everything that they've announced, I do think the Agatha Harkness show is probably the dumbest.
That wasn't a
spin-off.
joke? I thought you
no.
were just throwing a
Agatha's
name
a
out
real-
there.
We knew that was
Like,
coming
I don't-
from a
I
long
don't-
time ago. Though. We knew that was been coming. We've been
No, I know
Been
that.
dreaming about it.
I've never understood why they were like, "Hey,
Because
let's
she was
double
so
down on more
popular.
of this."
because she was so popular with the whole, it was Agatha all along thing. And because she was so popular, they're like, we're gonna do more of her.
Sorry, Jesse, that's a
That-
spoiler. It was Agatha all along.
Wait.
Oh
okay.
damn! I'm sorry.
So there's actually okay. So this was a real thing. You didn't just drop a goofy name.
No,
Right.
this is a real thing. There's a character named Agatha Harkness who is
A witch.
a bit player in a TV show.
Guys, I think Jesse.
and she's
I think
getting-
Jesse just walked away.
She is a witch who used the Darkhold previously. Darkhold is a collection of dark spells that corrupt the user upon use. Sometimes giving them
And
an
then-
extra
and then
eye or
Sauron-
finger. It's Sauron in the one ring. Just-
You told me there was a cackling witch, and
Yeah,
I
Her
was
name's
like,
Agatha.
oh, that's a good goof.
Yeah, come and
Yeah.
check it out.
Her name's Agatha.
If you want to know what we're talking about, just look up Agatha all along.
She was burned at the
Matter of
stake
fact-
during the Salem witch trials, but that's not how witches were burned back then. They
Not
weren't burned;
how-
they were fucking stoned to death. So, Kevin Feige, I have a question.
They, al-
Or
they also
they were
they
put
drowned
there-
him,
yeah,
right?
They also
Or no?
drowned him. Yeah, what are we doing?
They put him in those
They-
Iron Maidens and dropped him in the sea.
Yeah.
Great band.
I had to know if they weighed as much as a duck.
What is that? I mean, she's probably more than a duck because she's a whole human named Agatha.
Now,
Right,
I'll
and then
admit-
they sink, and then it wasn't a witch, but still dead.
Oh, we were wrong.
Ah, well, better
We'll
luck
do better
tomorrow.
next time. You
Yeah.
know? But in defense, there are ways around it. There are like, everything you should know up until this movie on YouTube. Looper has a lot of them, like everything you need to know about Marvel up until here. So there's like shortcuts you can take, which kind of summarize the events of different things that you should know up until there, and it's usually very good. I rewatch them from time to time just to see, what maybe I missed, maybe something that I didn't know, maybe just a refresher. So they're very good. Like so don't feel compelled that you have to watch everything, but there are shortcuts where you can just watch these little YouTube videos that catch you up on
Right.
the most important events.
But like, I don't like those either. Like, I've seen some of those, and like, I don't think they're good. It is a
Yeah.
Cliff Notes version, and it gives me the technical information without any of the payoff of actually like having a story involved. And the story is why I'm there.
Right.
So like, that's not compelling that's telling me that I need to study up on something before I can even enjoy it. That seems like bad storytelling.
Well, I mean, I'll disagree with that aspect because on the whole, like if you were interested, I'm not saying you have to be, but if you were interested, then you'd go and watch those earlier stories so that you would catch up to it because it is a series of things, not a standalone thing. Most times, some of the newer stuff is like, okay, this is a brand new introduction to this character that can kind of stand on its own. Like Miss Marvel, for example, you literally don't have to watch anything else. You can just know the story of Kamala Khan. And it doesn't even reference or tie into anything else other than like a very slight reference that won't matter if you haven't watched Eternals.
Yeah.
So on that note, I feel like, yeah, if you're interested in something that sounds new, check it out. If you feel lost, then maybe you should go back. But then again, you don't have to because you weren't interested in the first place.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, because you wouldn't say jump into like the third Freddy Krueger movie or Jason movie or whatever.
Right.
And then be like, all right, well, this doesn't make enough sense based on the fact that all these characters know the killer and all this history and stuff. Like, you would need to go and catch up.
I disagree. Because
You're
I
just saying
think
there's
good
so many of
storytelling,
them. Yeah.
but I think good storytelling makes it good both as a encapsulated moment and also as a story as a whole. So like, I mean, I know you love Spartacus because it's a great show. Like, I got into that from watching a episode on the Sci-Fi Channel that was like in season 3. And I was like, what is going on? I need to know more. Like, what I saw from that was interesting. And because that was interesting, and because that both had its own standalone bit and was like, oh, this is like part of a thing, I should know more about this. But because I like that so much, I went back to watch it from season 1.
I feel
And
like
I'm saying
Sci-Fi
you can
Channel's
still-
playing
you can still
real
get that
fast and loose with the
watching-
definition of sci-fi by showing Spartacus.
With you, Spartacus.
They really were.
But I'm saying the exact same thing you experienced with that Spartacus situation. You could do the same thing in any of these Marvel shows. Like, if you do jump in and you're like, oh, I don't care about these characters, I don't know enough, then, you know, you're going to consider that bad storytelling. But as soon as something goes on and you are interested, then you're compelled to go back and learn what you missed.
To a point, yes. But also, because of the dozens of shows and movies that you all have mentioned,
No, it's a lot.
that are,
Yeah, it's a lot.
that are interconnected, it's not just going back to a season or Harry Potter going back a few movies. It's hundreds of hours of something with varying levels of quality, genre, expectations.
Yeah, we're dealing with the One Piece effect
Right.
in
Well,
this
you
case.
don't have to have seen all the movies though. Not all of them are connected. Like to the point where you've had to see all of them. Like you could have not watched any of the standalone Avengers movies. I mean, standalone movies like Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and then just watch the Avengers movie, and you still would have been in the know about who they were based on just the simplest knowledge of them. Like you wouldn't have had to seen every movie leading up to them.
I think. I think
I
this
don't know.
stuff sounds really complicated when nerds like us start talking about it. I think ultimately these are pretty simplistic stories, and I think most of them you can watch any standalone season or a movie, and you could probably get about 90% of it. And it's fine. And like the rest of the stuff is sort of just like Easter eggs dropped for mouth breathers like us.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of
They
times
also
the stuff it makes it seem more complicated.
And they're also they're kind of like you could tell with this recent stuff they're like telling stories on tracks. So there's like the cosmic track, which is going to be like the Miss Marvel stuff and Guardians of the Galaxy, and then the weird multiverse track, which is going to be Quantumania and Loki, and then there's going to be like
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, and then there's going to be the ground level stuff, and that's going to be Captain America and the Thunderbolts and Daredevil and stuff like that. So it's almost like comics were, like choose what run you want to pay attention to. Do I just care about Spider-Man? Well, you can just watch Spider-Man and tangential Spider-Man things. Do I only really give a shit about Agatha? Well, we got a whole Agatha show for you.
Still mad that that's a real thing.
I don't want to wish like failure on anybody. I want those numbers to be so low.
Yeah.
Like just like.
But what if you watch it and it's
asked
good?
for
What if you
this?
watch it and you're like, oh my god, this is my favorite. A lot of people were saying about Miss Marvel. Like I feel like it got a lot of flack because of it covering the Muslim culture. A lot of people were like, I don't want to see that. I gave it flack because like I don't want to see another teenage drama esque situation. But then when I started watching, I was like, oh man, this is really really good. Like I did see like where there were like Christian groups boycotting like Disney because of what it was focusing on in Ms. Marvel, and I'm just like,
Yeah, they're stupid.
seriously,
They're stupid.
like really, like come on, stop it, cut it out. But
That's just dumb.
I thought it was very well done. I was surprised. I was very happy to be surprised. Am I gonna watch Agatha? Probably yes, I am. Am I excited for it?
Jeff's gonna watch.
I'm in
Agatha.
I'm in the middle of it. You know, I don't know. I don't think I'm excited. I don't think I'm apprehensive about it. I think it'll be whatever it's
I'm
gonna
not
be.
gonna watch that show.
You'll watch it. You'll be like, oh my god, it was so good, Jeff. You were right. And you'll be dressing up as Agatha on your podcast.
Yeah, they're gonna release a fucking Agatha skins pack for Rainbow Six Siege. You're gonna have to.
Yeah.
That'd be funny if they're like, we got one MCU skin. Who is it? It's one of the big ones.
Agatha.
All right, we can close up the Marvel talk for now. You guys are still good to go.
I got a little more time.
A little more time. All right.
I do have stuff I got to do.
We'll close up shop with our last topic, which is a big rumor. Take it with a massive grain of salt, an unhealthy amount of salt.
One large grain.
Take just a whole
apparently-
salt mine.
Apparently, there are rumors that Microsoft may have plans to acquire Netflix. This came from some analysts, and we all know analysts, they just be talking. Like, they don't actually have inside tracks. They don't be knowing nothing. They be coming up with ideas. But I did think that this was an interesting concept because, as we all know, Netflix has been struggling recently. Their quarter one took a hit of about 1 million subscribers, apparently. Like, after their initial 200,000, and like they started going down this rabbit hole of, all right, well, let's start charging people for passwords and cracking down on creating ad tiers, whatever. Like, they've partnered with Microsoft. Microsoft's going to handle the ad tier version of Netflix, apparently. Like, Microsoft, I think, is the middleman in terms of they buy the ads that will then run on Netflix, something like that, some back end nonsense. They're handling that infrastructure, and because of that relationship, this analyst is possibly thinking that Netflix may be looking to exit entirely by being bought out. And to me, that sort of makes sense because, yes, Netflix has been struggling, but like they seem to be making every single decision they can to push people away,
Right.
which has tanked their stock price, which in turn would make them more palatable as a buy option. If they're, because Netflix has been pretty high in terms of stock, but to make them more attractive as to be bought out for still a lot of money, like maybe let's lose some stock points by saying we're gonna stop you from sharing your Netflix with your grandma.
Yeah.
Ooh, grandma, poor grandma.
I don't know. It's a little conspiracy theory ish, but I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think. Like, is there any validity to something like this?
Where do you find reliable numbers? Because I was looking this up when you brought it up yesterday.
Wasn't it what the
reliable
Netflix
numbers,
subscriber thing?
right? For like they're over the course of years, because I believe currently they are still, assuming I'm looking at the right numbers, they are still at their highest subscriber rate in history.
Yeah, because if paying COVID, they would have been like, oh man, like they seen such a uptick during COVID. Like this might be low, but compared to pre-COVID, they should still be pretty high.
Yeah, like I feel like people are really, really dunking on them because like, oh no, Netflix is losing stuff. But yeah, what you were saying, COVID, huge spike in, well, I'm staying home. Let me invest, put some money in something I can have entertainment in. And like, it's summertime. We're not over the pandemic, but like we're out there more. Like more streaming services are coming up. Like there's a lot of reasons for it to dip in the current moment. And again, I still think they're at a incredibly high amount of subscribers based on their history.
No, you're right. Lampy says 1 million subscribers might sound like a lot, but Netflix has over 220 million, so that is like 0.5%. So if their numbers are that high, yeah, that's.
But it also could have had a. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. So their numbers are higher than they've ever been, but their market share is losing year and year again. Like there was a time 10 years ago when Netflix was had such a massive piece of the pie. And with every year that has gone by, especially in the last couple of years with the rise of Disney Plus, how quickly that's come, and then HBO rebooting with HBO Max and Amazon Prime continuing to grow, and then even smaller services like Apple TV Plus that's growing because it just makes bangers of shows, and even the dumb ones like Peacock and Paramount that no one gives a shit about, and then even the rise of anime services like Funimation and Crunchyroll kind of becoming one. Their chunk of the pie is getting smaller.
Okay.
And they're worried about. Assume their internal numbers are showing that they might have more subscribers than ever, but less time is being spent on Netflix because people are also watching shows on X, Y, and Z that aren't Netflix. Netflix isn't really the only dog in town anymore. So and they tried to make a lot of big moves with shows, and it seems like Stranger Things was one of the few big ones that managed to click. I mean, you had stuff like Ozark and stuff, but Netflix has a tendency to cancel things very quickly, like after a season or two, if people are digging them. And then every once in a while they get a Squid Game or a Queen's Gambit, and they kind of don't know what to do with it when it comes out. Like they strike gold, and then they kind of look around like, what do we do? Do we do a Squid Game reality show? That's what people want, right?
Right.
Like people definitely understood the meaning of Squid Game. So yeah, that's part of the thing I see. It's like definitely not all sunshine and rainbows at Netflix. They also keep trying to buy their way to an Oscar, and they can't do that. Their movies keep losing because they're kind of boring.
And then they had a bunch of shows coming out at one time that they canceled. So like I wonder how much they justify spending on a particular movie or TV. Game adaptation versus the amount of subscribers they want to see compared to last year. Like I don't know how that works. Like if we spend 10 million on an episode of this, like what kind of turnaround are we looking subscriber wise? Because or do they go by how many people were watching this in the first week? Like I wonder how that happens because they canceled.
That's still
canceled
a
a lot
mystery.
of.
I don't think anyone has
They canceled a lot of
figured out.
animated stuff that was going to come out that they wind up canceling. So it's I just weird how they judge what's worthy of keeping around or what's worthy of spending, because they were going crazy for a while with the new shows and stuff they were adding, the animated stuff. Like I gotta feel like they especially with like the Dota animated series, like did they have to pay Dota for the use of that license and then pay for the production and all that stuff? Like
I think they might have just paid, and I don't know this for sure, but from the production quality of it, it seems like a different studio house, like not Riot.
no,
Is it Riot?
Riot.
That owns
No, Riot's
I don't think
Riot's
Valve.
Yeah, but
Dota.
Dota is
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you were talking about Dota. My bad.
Yeah.
I was thinking Arcane. Based on like Arcane as an example, based on how that was handled, I feel like Riot paid for that, all the production, and then just sold it to Netflix.
Like there was a bidding.
So it might be a similar
that's a lot of their
situation.
movies too. Or there's kind of like bidding wars. Like a movie will be made, debut at Sundance, and then there'll be a bidding war for it. Like that movie Coda that won Best Picture last year. That movie was made. They showed it at Sundance. There was a massive bidding war, and Apple won the bidding war. So Apple did not make Coda. Apple got the rights to distribute Coda, and when Apple,
Right, and they'll call it an Apple.
yeah,
TV
and when it
exclusive.
won the Oscar, they could go up there. But it's different than like
Yeah.
The Irishman, which Netflix financed from the get go, the Scorsese movie.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. But I think that's a case by case basis. I don't know. I don't know if this is ever going to happen, but I could see a world. Microsoft is obviously going so in on their sort of service, their subscription service with Game Pass and everything, and so I think they've obviously acquired studios with Activision and with Bethesda, and so I could see them pivoting to acquire a massive entertainment conglomerate like this, and that's something that like Sony definitely doesn't have. So if all of a sudden a Netflix subscription is a part of your Game Pass Ultimate, or
Exactly.
or the opposite,
Like-
if you have a Netflix subscription and all of a sudden anywhere you watch Netflix, you're able to boot up a game and play it on the cloud, like
Yeah, like this is why this kind of piqued
Yeah.
my interest in terms of a rumor, because this is what Microsoft's been chasing from like their inception. They want to own your living room, right? And right now they're a big part of it in a lot of American households, not maybe worldwide. Like they still rule the office, but like your living room, they're still struggling to kind of get that full market share. Netflix kind of did
Right.
that, even worldwide. Like Netflix is a staple in the living room. So like if they could buy their way into that, they would.
But well,
So like right now, it's just is Netflix looking to be bought out is the question. Like I don't know, like their actions recently make me feel like maybe they are, because I don't. Netflix has campaigned on the idea that like they had a whole Valentine's Day ad where they were saying like, oh, loving is sharing, because they were talking about people sharing Netflix passwords, and then they turn around and be like, all right, we're going to charge you for it.
well,
Like it's like they want the bad press because they want to be
Right.
bought out. That's my that's
now,
my theory.
when they were first founded, it was founded because the person who founded Netflix were tired of the late fees from Blockbuster. That was one of the stories where they were, founded by them because he was tired of the late fees. You could take back and it's all these late fees, blah 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 blah. Or you didn't rewind fee, like all that stuff. And apparently they tried to sell that idea to Blockbuster. Blockbuster's like, laughed them out the room because they were the biggest thing. Like, we don't care about you. And then Netflix wind up exploding. But also, like, I wonder if the FCC would allow this acquisition because it's such a big one. Like, they were getting trouble with just acquiring Blizzard. Like, so I can imagine how big and how many eyes this would be under as far as like acquiring Netflix.
I mean, this one is like cross media, so I don't think it would look the same way as like Monopoly wise, because it's not like they're taking over all of streaming services.
that
There's
wouldn't-
still competition streaming services.
So here,
Like Microsoft isn't a streaming service company. You know what I mean? It's not
well,
like
I guess it'll be the umbrella that it's under. Because if Xbox isn't well, I don't know. Because Microsoft bought Blizzard, right? It wasn't like, oh, Xbox is buying,
No,
Blizzard.
Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
So-
Xbox that bought them.
Yeah,
But I feel
yeah.
like because they're crossly related, because like you said, it has a potential. Let's say it goes to Game Pass. Now it is kind of in the same market now, where it's not game related, but now it's in a gaming package, which could influence people to go towards that way. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure if it's getting incorporated to Game Pass now, it
Maybe.
makes it more likely that, hey, I'm gonna get my son this Xbox because if you get your son this card, it comes with Game Pass, which is over 100 games, plus you get a free subscription to Netflix. Guess what? That mom's gonna buy that package now because of all the value in it. So now it makes it more appealing to people who are looking to purchase a gaming system.
Like I understand what you're saying, but like Lampy's saying, yeah, I don't think that's how they define. Like Lampy says, that's not how the mergers committee define
Remember,
markets.
you heard it
Like,
here
and that-
first.
Yeah, because like
They're gonna look, because even though it's not a gaming company that they're buying, once they acquire them, they can then use it until that same, it will be
you're like, yeah, it's part
Right.
of the bundle of value, but they're still technically different
Right.
services. So like I guess like they wouldn't be able to call it a monopoly. I'm assuming.
But you're saying they're trying to own your living
it's
room.
like-
Wouldn't the living room be
like-
the monopoly that they're trying to own?
I mean, the
I'm
living
just
room's
saying,
not like a
metaphorically, they're trying to own your living room.
Like it's-
so this would go towards that. Like now they have such more power.
But that's
to own,
more of
now they own your
metaphorical
living room.
ownership.
They have the keys, like nobody else can get into there. No one can own a piece of that. They have the monopoly on your living room. I mean, come
Sorry,
on,
Jesse, you
finish
can't
it
watch
out.
True Blood anymore in your living
No
room.
more. Nothing
Dang
but
it.
Netflix.
You gotta watch in the bedroom like a deviant.
Yeah, nothing but Netflix and Halo on Paramount Plus.
I think more.
Live room is
Yes.
Candyland for sure.
I feel like it'd be however they're gonna run it. I don't think there's personally that it's probably gonna happen, but I feel like there's a deal could be made, kind of where you're saying before, where it's like, ooh, well, what if we bundle Game Pass and a Netflix subscription together, and then Microsoft can get in on the living room market, and then when they're not making money on it, or every other streaming service has too much of the pie or whatever, they can pull out. But they made their money off the deal by partnering with them versus buying them.
Yeah, I can see that too.
I mean, that's a possibility. It's just Netflix. I feel like Netflix has a technology as well
Skynet.
that
It's
like
Skynet.
their streaming technology, which apparently like works so flawlessly all over the
Do
place.
they have games on there now?
is
They do.
Yeah, they are starting
Yeah.
to push games as well.
That being said, Lampy was correcting us, not correcting us, but pointing out that apparently Netflix's entire infrastructure is tied to AWS, Amazon Web Services. So that would be a thing where if Microsoft did buy them and want to integrate them to their Azure cloud, whatever it is, would be a Herculean task. But you know what Microsoft has? Money.
Okay, so it would.
Money. Buku amounts of money.
Yeah.
That's true. So that also means that it would probably not be as good.
Yeah, but Microsoft also
That's
has,
the case.
I think,
Like,
Microsoft
that's the
has
back-
a long history of buying things and then needing to integrate them to their own, infrastructure. So yeah, I don't see that as being like a amount. That's not like a hard no, but it would be
Right.
something they would have to consider.
Yeah. It was also,
I'm
if they're
sure-
trying to integrate, they could lose a lot of their market share in that process because it's no longer like convenient or it doesn't work all the time, and they'll lose people because of that.
Yeah, like I don't have a lot of experience there, but
I mean,
wasn't
what would-
didn't that happen recently with like Comixology? Didn't like Amazon buy them or something? And it's just like they totally fucked Comixology. I have a couple friends who read comics on that, and all they do is just get angry at me about that, and I'm like, I don't know what this is.
I gotta go to Amazon to buy a comic for Comixology. You can't buy it through the Comixology
Yeah.
app.
What are the chances that if Microsoft did buy this, they just leased AWS so that they didn't
I feel
have to
like
disrupt
Jeff
it?
Bezos would be like, "Well, this is the new rate," and then like, slide a number over. Why are the zeros on the back of the paper as well?
Because I don't think that sort of relationship. I don't think that sort of relationship is
No.
unheard of. Like we know Sony is paying Microsoft to use their Azure backbone for their streaming stuff. So
Yeah, you got fucking MLB The Show coming to Game Pass. Listen, if MLB The Show can come to Game Pass, anything can happen.
Respect.
If Agatha Harkness' Coven of Chaos can come to Disney Plus in the year 2024, anything can happen.
There is no limit. Now,
Are you excited about the Coven of Chaos, Jesse?
I don't know if that's her
He's gonna
real
have a nice
group
little
name or not.
He's gonna have a cauldron with him and everything, just mellowing
What?
out.
yeah, Jesse, just watch
That's
that
it.
show.
Yeah, that-
Like, don't watch
Yeah,
anything else.
also watch
just
The
watch
Craft.
Agatha
Watch The
Harkness.
Craft.
I have seen The Craft.
And Hunkus Punkus. Remember Hunkus Punkus?
Hunkus Punkus
Yeah.
2 is coming out too.
Hunkus Punkus 2 is coming soon. You gotta watch that one too.
Now I saw that Bungie's PlayStation's acquisition of Bungie already went through,
Mhm.
and that was announced after the Blizzard acquisition. I'm wondering if because of how much scrutiny it's getting, is that why it's taking so long?
Yeah, I would imagine
What,
there's more moving
Microsoft's
parts
Activision
in
Blizzard?
Activision Blizzard than there are in Bungie. Because Bungie is just like
Yeah, that's probably a much
company,
bigger deal.
as opposed to Activision Blizzard King, which is like
With multiple studios and stuff.
yeah, and
Yeah, it's 3 different companies with several smaller companies all inside.
and
of each of them.
Activision was
It's like
going through all
those
the
little Russian dolls. So like,
little nesting dolls.
Yep.
Yeah, and like as soon as this went through, Activision started going through all the Bobby Kotick like workplace harassment bullshit.
but apparently he got reelected.
Yeah, they're doing a
He got
succession over there.
reelected. There was an election and he got reelected to remain part of the board or whatever it was with Blizzard.
Yeah, because the board ain't shit.
I played Control. I know the board ain't shit. That's what I learned from that game.
That's what it teaches you.
That game had
Good
some
game.
good witches in it. I think they were witches. They probably weren't witches, but
I don't think
they had
they're
like witchy powers.
Yeah. Was that like telekinetics or just like?
Yeah, what is that? That's absolutely a witch power. That's something
Yeah, that's
that can
magic.
do.
It's always part of the big 3: wizards, aliens, and androids. So,
Big 3.
and witches have hats. So,
Yeah, witches do have hats. Witches be hatting.
yeah, they do. Flaccid hat, little hands.
Classic.
Let me say, Microsoft Azure is completely different company to Microsoft Xbox.
But I mean, they're both owned by Microsoft.
Duh, I'm like yes, duh, completely.
Yeah.
We're
Because
aware.
of my-
But it's the fact that Sony is basically because they are in competition with the whole company,
Right.
not just the Xbox part. Like Sony is a
Right.
bigger company.
You can't
than
spend that
PlayStation
money.
as
That's
well.
Xbox money.
and they are
earn
also
that from Xbox, so you can't touch that. That's a separate account.
Kingsley wants to know, is Nick Cal a witch? Yes, he wears a hat. Yeah,
Nick
Is that all it
Jagatha-
takes?
Nick Jagatha Cowell.
Does that
Man, that was hard to
Jeff a
say.
witch
I said,
too?
instead of Cal, I said Cowell.
Okay, so that pretty much. Let me say my point above was that Sony don't have a cloud platform. That's why they're using Azure.
I don't know. There was a bunch of clouds
Um,
in Horizon.
Casey is a Disney princess. I can confirm.
Something
Did Days Gone have clouds though? Or did they have to get those from Microsoft too?
I was too scared to look up in that game because there's too many freakers coming at me.
Yeah,
Do freakers have clouds?
I think so.
Do zombies dream? Do zombies sleep?
Ooh.
I don't think they sleep.
Did you see that movie Warm
I
Bodies?
did with Nicholas
Nicholas
Hoult.
Hoult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zombies do dream. All right,
Hmm.
solve that one.
Yeah, in that movie, yes.
We solved that problem.
If you don't sleep, if you don't sleep, does that mean you can't dream? But can you daydream? Because you don't need to sleep to daydream.
But daydreaming is just like thinking about stuff, right?
That's how I stayed
Wait,
awake in church.
I mean, isn't that what a dream is? You're just thinking about a thing. You just have to be in like off mode while you do it.
Yeah, but like when you daydream, you're not like there. You daydream in third person.
There when you
dream
dream
in
it
first
either,
person.
Marty. You're still in your bed.
Listen, season 4 of Game of Thrones says something differently. Bran has the power to warg into various critters as well as his big pal Hodor. So
Does that count as a daydream when he wargs?
that's
Yeah.
good. That's technically like teleportation, right? That's like
Yeah,
mental
sure.
teleportation.
It's like Doctor Strange using astral projection.
There you go. Think about it.
Is astral projection
daydream?
teleportation? All right, we're definitely in the weeds here. We'll go ahead and close up the show. Marty, why don't you let folks know what you have coming up this week? And they can find it, and where they can find it.
We should be back to a pretty normal. No, I mean we should be back to a fuller schedule on the Escapists. I think Casey, you're gonna be back to streaming this week, right? But your streams might be
shall be
moved
back.
to the evenings.
Yes, that's the plan for right now. If I'm lucky, we can maybe start pushing those times up after a little bit.
Nice.
Make them maybe make them
Oh, okay,
earlier.
great. So, we'll figure out the times for all those things. But we should be doing Metal Gear again this week and stuff like that. Yeah, check out all the streams. Got slightly something else. Jack will be jamming through more Elden Ring. You can follow me on Twitch. I've been doing stream. I'm gonna start Majora's Mask soon. That's a game that's got some daydreams. Every time he puts on a mask, he daydreams.
Is that remastered or is it just?
No, I'm just gonna be playing the Switch one, like a
Okay.
little chip, or the N64 one on the Switch.
Is it remasked?
Remastered. Something had that like whatever like the DVD special edition of The Mask had to be called the remastered. That's bad. Oh, and check out Agatha coming soon to Disney Plus.
Yeah, probably mastering
No,
that
absolutely. Are you kidding me?
too. Jesse, what do you have coming up?
I don't know
Where
what
can folks
you
find
can
you?
follow me on Twitch and Twitter at RexGunJesse and then Jesse Galeno over on YouTube. I don't know if I'll actually be doing anything this week because I might be helping my parents with something. I'll be finding that out hopefully very soon. So I might have an off week, but you know.
Your New
I'm
Adventures
here.
Night went up yesterday.
Oh, New Adventures Night.
To the fancy folks.
Oh, true.
To the fancy folk.
Yeah, to members.
Pre-purchase exclusive. Yeah.
I still need to watch episode 6 actually.
This is episode 7. You're behind.
Yeah, I'm behind.
That's
that's
pretty-
it for
yeah,
you,
I
guess,
don't
Jesse?
have much else to say. I do stuff. I'm there. Check it out or don't. You know, it's your life. You do whatever you want with it.
Beautiful.
Jesse sounds very defeated right now. Superman Jeff, what do you have coming up? Where can folks find you?
Tomorrow's Monday. I'll be doing some Multiverses Monday. So come through.
Nice.
Come play, come watch. I'm gonna use the Twitch extension that they added, which kind of creates a lobby in the Twitch, so that way you don't have to form one in the actual game. I'm gonna see how that's gonna work. So we're gonna test
Interesting.
that out. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. If it works, it'll be the first extension that has actually worked. I tried the Rainbow Six Siege one, KC. So speak to your people, see if they can get that extension working. Never worked. So there's that.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna write that
please.
down actually.
You know?
Speak to the team that's producing this stream right now. We know there's a lot of folks below the line who are behind the
Yeah.
camera.
Behind the scenes and just doing their best work. So just ask them if they have some time. They can look at the extension. It's never worked. Never lets me set up the the survey where people can pick what operator I use or what weapons. None of that stuff. So you know,
It looked like it looked like you bent over to write a note. I just imagine it was ban Jeff from Ubisoft.
No, if that's actually not working right, then yeah, that is something I could probably inquire about and see if there's anyone who's also aware that it's not working right. Chances are they know it's not working right, and they're trying to figure out how to.
It is an official extension because I emailed Ubisoft a couple times about it, and they told me to uninstall it and reinstall it, but it just never allows me to get past that point of actually setting up the operators for people to choose from and that type of stuff. But it's activating all that stuff, and it is an official Ubisoft one, not a community one. It just doesn't work. But you know, customer service aside, I'll be also doing another episode of the Omniverse comic discussion. We'll also be covering some of the things that were announced during the SDCC, and compare those to the leaks that actually came out, which were completely wrong. I'm not to say that those things won't come to fruition, but what was said that was going to happen definitely wasn't going to happen. And some of the things that weren't announced, like, you know, mutants and that type of stuff that we could be getting later. And yeah, that's it. Oh, and I'll also be back. Casey will be joining me on my stream later for Super Smash Sunday. So we'll be doing that at 2:30 p.m. EST. Yep, I'm there. I'm taking over. And then come to the
Did they add LeBron James to Smash yet?
That are going to add...
Put Kevin Durant in Smash?
Put Kevin Durant in Smash. Yep.
Yeah.
And then next, and Kyrie Irving are going to be...
Yeah. Jesus.
They're going to be like two of the same coin.
It turns out you had to be vaccinated in order to be in Smash. So.
Yeah, that's why he didn't get it.
Yeah.
A quick customer service story regarding Ubisoft before I give my sign off. I was not able to play Roller Champions on my console because I had some weird glitch where I guess because they migrated my Uplay account to Ubisoft Connect in the past, and I had like a different gamer tag because I used to be Sigma Fresh and I'm now Sigma Gears. And so all that information got wonky when I guess they did a migration. And so my Xbox was connected to an old account that also had a misspelling of my email address. So it was my email address, but without the number 9, right? So I find all this out, going back and forth with Ubisoft customer support over weeks. This is before I started working with them, like 2 weeks beforehand. It takes at least that long. I started working, I'm still having this problem. I'm talking to my trainers and other tech people within the company saying like, hey, I'm talking to customer support. They're not helping me at all. They're like, all right, give me the number. We'll ask them what we're doing. So from that help, I was able to just get the information that they would not tell me, which was that the email address was wrong, right? So when I let the support people know that I don't have access to the email address because it's wrong, they said, well, since you don't have access to the email, we cannot help you. Bye.
And we know you work here.
Yeah, and they at that point, they knew I worked there. So what I ended up having to do was I emailed the other email address. This person has the same email address as me, which means we have the same last name, which means he's also Nigerian, Igbo specifically. And he wrote back and helped me out.
And you guys formed
he was able to log in and then you were able to change the email address?
Yes. So like I was able to make the attempt to change the password. It sent to him. He forwarded it to me so I could get all the credential stuff verified. So I was able to take my Xbox off the account thanks to that guy.
Bravo to him. And you guys
you should send him an Ezio trilogy code.
Oh, nice.
No, I told him as soon as I get access to whatever, I'll hook him up. I'm in that guy's
person of the year.
People wouldn't have believed you. They're like,
exactly. But like that's what I'm saying. It's that Nigerian connection. We have the same last name. My full name is Kalechiku. His full name is Kenechiku.
Oh wow!
Is it like so? It's like a letter difference.
Wow. Yeah, it's a letter difference.
He'd be like, is this like a Nigerian Prince scam? And he'd be like, no, I'm not.
Like, no, he's Nigerian, so he knows.
They just call those scams.
he's immune to him because he's.
Oh man. But that's pretty much my customer service story.
That was incredible.
But you can find me at Sigma Gears 9 on Twitch and Twitter. Like Jeff mentioned, we'll be doing Super Smash Sunday on the Open Party channel at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And like Marty mentioned, I'll be back streaming with Escapist this coming week. I believe Jesse and I will be doing Hidden Gems on Monday.
Jesse already told us he's not streaming though. Jesse's on a strike.
I
that
might
right?
not. I
He's
don't
doing
know,
the
and I
thing.
am gonna. I did tell you this after this, Casey, because I'm about to find out.
Oh wow. Okay, so we don't know about Hidden Gems for this coming week, but Hidden Gems will be back in general in the future. I should be back on Breakout on Wednesday, and then Metal Gear Solid 3 starts up on Thursday. So I hope you guys are excited for that. Thanks everybody in chat for joining us. Always a pleasure. Thanks to my 3 co-hosts this week. It was a fun time. As usual, we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Bye.
Everybody.